why it is so vitally important to have a presence on YouTube specifically, backing that up with a presence on social media in general. YouTube is the best platform for law firms strictly because of the fact that it's long form. So the number one thing that I see people get wrong when it comes to their social media presence, especially for law firms that have more time than they have money, is it really all comes down to this one thing. And this is the number one takeaway that I want to share with you today. Can you believe that today in 2025, YouTube is still mission critical level importance in growing your law firm? Today, I want to talk a little bit about the fundamentals of why it is so vitally important to have a presence on YouTube specifically, backing that up with a presence on social media in general. I used this story before, but recently I got stem cell treatment in my right knee. And the main reason that I chose the stem cell clinic that I did, which was in Arizona, was because I went to ChatGPT. ChatGPT found a YouTube video that the owner of this stem cell clinic had put out, directed me to that YouTube video about the legality of stem cell use in the United States, which led me to their website, and ultimately influenced me making a purchase decision for $10,500 to get 200 million stem cells, 50 of which were applied to each knee, and I have a second round of treatments coming up. And I look at this as very comparable to how people make decisions to hire law firms. There is a ton of skepticism in the legal market when it comes to selecting a lawyer, right? And what is very true is people don't know if they're getting ripped off or not. And I remember for me, even this was a thought that went through my mind when I bought from this stem cell clinic. I thought to myself, like, how do I know if this clinic is legit? How do I know that they're not just advertising that they have like the highest quality stem cells ever? And how do I know that they're actually going to deliver that to me? And how do I know I'm not getting ripped off? I've never bought this service before, which is kind of how it is for most law firm clients as well, as they've never purchased from a law firm before. That's 95% of people who buy from law firms are people who haven't bought from a law firm before. And what's interesting about this is that skepticism kind of floated away from me when I saw that they had a robust YouTube channel with tons of educational videos that allowed me to educate myself from a distance on the pros and cons of working with this specific stem cell clinic. I felt to myself, wow, this person, this clinic, no way they're lying to me about what value they provide. Because if they were lying, they wouldn't be so front and center and prevalent on YouTube, where I can actually refer back to something I heard from them in a recorded video of them promising the quality of service that they have. Why would they be so transparent if they had anything to hide, right? So in my purchase decision, whether it's true or false, it led to a purchase decision, right? And just a few minutes ago, I was looking up, we've been running our elite coach program for law firm owners now for, it's almost 6 years now. Started in 2020. So yeah, it's going on 6 years. And I was looking through recordings from 2022, which was 2 years into or actually the third year into our program, 2020, 2021, 2022. And I was looking at a recording of a previous coaching session that I was giving to maybe at that time we probably had 70 members in our coaching program. Now we have 600. And I was talking to this one attorney who's still a client of ours today, Lance Fryrear, who has added millions of dollars to his firm just as a result of his YouTube channel. And he is a criminal defense lawyer in Seattle, Washington. He's what we call one of the OGs in the S&B community. Spoken at multiple of our events. He runs a multi seven-figure criminal firm. And a lot of his progress has come from his YouTube channel. And when he got started on YouTube, just like everyone who gets started, he had no idea what he was doing. He was making videos that were overly direct about his legal services. And he started learning over time how to appeal to the needs of his market, right? And we had this coaching session, and I started asking questions to everyone during the coaching session about what are the true needs of your client base. What are the real curiosities and questions that your client base has? And so he started looking through, at this point in time, he's made like 200 YouTube videos. And he's starting to get feedback from these videos. And he goes and scrolls through his entire video list, and he starts seeing this trend on his videos around the word avoid or beat charges or case dismissed, right? And what was really interesting was the insight for him was that people were more interested in alleviating their pain than they are, gaining a benefit, right? So do you want freedom, right? Like if someone's about to get arrested, do you want freedom or do you want your charges dropped? Do you want to avoid jail time, right? These are the push and the pull in marketing is how much do you go into leading with benefit and how much do you kind of twist the knife in the pain, right? And what he found, which is actually a fundamental truth of marketing, is that the videos he had that solved a pain rather than discussed a benefit, they were about 10 times more effective, right? And this is something I'd heard from multiple marketing mentors of mine. Andy had heard from multiple marketing mentors of his that people are much more open to solving a problem of theirs. If you are a new thought leader, let's say that you're a new attorney, you just start putting out videos, nobody knows who you are, and you just start putting out stuff, right? Let's say you start doing that. Why are they going to listen to you if your first video is about, how to win your case or something like that's positive and benefit oriented, right? Versus 6 proven ways to avoid jail time, right? They're much more likely to listen to the avoid jail time frame, right? Avoidance of pain, because think about it like this. If you go into the middle of the road, right? Let's say that there's an intersection, right? And you hurt your foot, right? And you're in pain, right? And you're in the middle of the road and there's something raised up in the middle of the intersection. Your foot slams it really, really hard. You feel like you broke your ankle. It's really painful and you sit down on the ground, right? And I want you to picture scenario 1, okay? Someone runs up to you and offers you help. Now, let me ask you a question. This is scenario 1. You're hurt. You're sitting in the middle of an intersection. You think you broke your ankle. You are in severe pain. Someone runs up to you and asks if they can help you, right? My question to you is, how awkward are you going to feel about saying yes? Okay? Maybe a little bit, maybe 1 out of 10 on the awkwardness scale, but not very awkward, right? Because it's natural for someone to run up and to try to help you if you're in pain, right? It's not like unusual for someone to do that. So let me give you scenario B. Let's say you're walking down that same sidewalk and right before you get to the intersection, someone sprints up to you at the same speed of that person that sprinted up to you when you were in pain, sprints up to you and says, "Hey, would you like $100 right now?" Right? So how skeptical would you feel in scenario B if someone ran up to you force feeding you $100 bill that you didn't know, right? You'd think, what the hell? Like, what's the catch? What do you want from me, right? You would think that there's a catch, right? You would be in disbelief that someone truly wanted to give you $100, right? That's how it works in marketing, right? One of the biggest concepts that works, especially in social media marketing, is talking about how you can help someone solve the pain that they're in instead of talking about how they can achieve some amazing benefit. Like, this is a big mistake that we see in estate planning. Like, protect your family, protect your assets. Like, that's not sexy enough. That's not, like, there's no pain attached to that, right? So how can you make something that's not pain-based? Well, you got to start thinking, like, don't lose all of your assets, right? Don't penalize your family with X, Y, and Z pains by not having your assets handled, right? And coming from a frame of alleviating pain, right, is going to work so much better in any niche of law. I mean, we could go through PI, criminal, family, estate planning, immigration. The list goes on and on and on. But the bottom line is, the key insight is to alleviate pain. Now, I led with, like, why is YouTube so mission critical? If you embrace this alleviate pain concept and you made one commitment as a result of this podcast, and that only commitment was you are going to put out 100 videos in the next 100 days. If you only made that one commitment, at the end of those 100 days, your entire life would be different at the end of those 100 days. If you just made that one commitment, right? So think about this. When you commit to make 100 videos, you're not committing to making 100 perfect videos, right? You're not committing to every video being a masterpiece, right? You're probably really committing that you're going to have maybe 10 of those 100 videos that work. The other 90 videos are all just going to be practice for you, right? This is the whole, secret of overnight success, right? Is it doesn't ever exist, right? If you look at someone who all of a sudden became successful, like if you even look at Mr. Beast, right, who's the highest subscriber YouTube channel of all time, Mr. Beast made a ton of flops and made a lot of videos that almost nobody watched in his early days, until they started getting watched and until everyone started calling him an overnight success, right? Now, he has solidified his status as a dominator of YouTube videos and spends millions of dollars per video now and has really blue oceaned and differentiated himself. But it all started with him having the courage to look like a doofus, to be someone who didn't know what they were doing, to be made fun of, to be embarrassing for long enough to where he persisted. And then on the other side of it, he finally found his brand voice. He finally found his niche, and now he's the most followed YouTuber of all time, right? So the people that laughed with him or laughed at him in the beginning are certainly now likely jealous of what he's created, but he deserves what he created because of his persistent action, right? So YouTube is the best platform for law firms strictly because of the fact that it's long form, right? Most legal problems can't get solved by a 30-second video, right? Now, this is coming from someone who has seen and firsthand, I know some of the attorneys who have seen breakthrough success on social media making short form videos. First of all, I mean, arguably the GOAT of short form videos on all of YouTube. The GOAT is Mike Mandel, Law by Mike, who is a good friend of mine. We've collaborated a lot with him in the past. He spoke at multiple of our live coach workshops and some of our events. And, he is probably the king of short form video in the legal industry, right? I've talked with Legal Eagle. Legal Eagle, actually, Devin Stone, I got dinner with him and Andy after one of our coaching events, which he flew out to. He spoke for our coaching clients. He's probably the leader of long form video in the legal industry, right? And I've learned from both of these amazing geniuses at what they do that short form works really, really good for you to build your follower and subscriber base. But long form is where you build that substantial, deep underlying trust with your audience, right? So if you can merge these two mediums together, short form video and long form video, you can be unstoppable if you crack the code on these two video types. Okay. So on the short form video front, this is a volume game. This is about like how can you put out one to two short form videos a day, right? On YouTube, starting with maybe just one a day. And these are your 15-second to 45-second long videos, but no longer. So these are super short videos, typically around one topic. You have like a hook in the beginning of the video, something that captures people's attention. Then you have kind of one informational tidbit or one misconception or we call it misconception education. And then you have kind of a next step or a call to action of sorts at the end of the video that then loops back into the introduction of the video. So, there's a million and one different ways that you can do short form videos in terms of structure. But generally there's going to be a hook, there's going to be a body, and there's going to be a conclusion, which will loop back into the introduction of the video to try and get the key to virality is you want to get someone to watch your video 2 or more times. So you want them to watch your short form video twice in a row or more. And that shows YouTube's algorithm to start promoting it and that this video is viral, has viral potential. The second thing is long form, right? Long form is where I've seen of the hundreds of lawyers that Andy and I have coached on social media for law firms. I have seen that 90% of lawyers that we've taught this YouTube information to have thrived and gotten better ROI, not better views, better ROI from long form video on YouTube, right? So these are your, call it, 3 to 10 minute, sometimes 20 minute, sometimes hour long videos, really like call it 3 minutes plus is a solid long form. And what I've noticed is because lawyers are basically compensated to, you have to know how to communicate in a long form fashion, right? When you're negotiating and when you're handling cases and, doing depositions and blah, 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 blah. Most of what you do is not fit into a 10-second, video that's going to be used for social media. So you're actually really well equipped to do long form video. So it actually works well with a lot of attorneys. And the beautiful thing is if you create a long form video first strategy, you can use that as your repurposing mechanism. So if I make a 15-minute video for YouTube, I can chop that into 15 one-minute videos, right? Not really 15. You're probably only going to have like maybe 5 keepers from a 15-minute video that you can put into a 15 to 45-second legit one-thought clip. But when you get really good at making long forms, it gives you a perpetual source of short forms that you can hire an editor to go through, edit the videos, and post those shorts online. So my point in sharing this is long form is the gateway to short form for most busy attorneys. So really the only commitment that I would make if I were you is 1 or 2 legit long form videos per week, right? 1 or 2 legit long form videos per week, and maybe we'll say 5 short form videos per week. If you do 2 long, 5 short per week, then you're getting 7 a week, right? And that puts you up to 1 a day, that pace of 1 a day, where in 100 days you could post 100 videos. Now, how do you get this done when you're a busy attorney? Well, how do you get anything done? You prioritize it. And there's really no magical formula to finding the time to make videos for social media. There is no like perfect formula. Everyone has a different way. Some people like to batch record. Other people like to record when the idea of the video is fresh and on the top of their mind in the moment, in the second that video pops up. It really depends what works best with your schedule, whether it's a week where you're going to be in court, whether you have more openness and freedom that week. And really just the most important variable is how serious is growing your law firm to you, right? And another thing is, do you have more time than you have money, or do you have more money than you have time, right? If you have more time than you have money, then you're going to have to use your time to create these videos. You're going to have to personally record these videos either via selfie form, like how I'm doing right now. Like there's no one sitting around this camera. I'm doing this myself. I'm recording an extreme long form video right now in the form of a podcast, which is being recorded for our podcast, but also will be cut into shorts clips as a result of it. So I'm doing the ultimate long form right now by doing a, 30-minute or so video, audio that'll be repurposed to a podcast, multiple shorts, and a long form video that'll be posted on YouTube. So you can do this all by yourself. It doesn't require that much work to do it by yourself. The only thing that you really have to delegate is editing, which is really easy to find an editor to help you. You could hire a virtual assistant to help you with editing. You could go, on Upwork.com, put up a job ad and see if you could hire someone to help you edit your stuff. But there are way harder problems in the world to solve than getting someone to edit your videos. Like, it is not complicated to get someone to edit your videos. So it really all comes down to this one thing. And this is the number one takeaway that I want to share with you today. Volume of output. The number one thing is volume of output. Once volume is no longer your problem, then you go to quality. So quantity first, then quality. Okay. If you ever heard the concept from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he talks about the two different groups of artists, right? And one group of artists were told to make the most perfect one piece of art that they possibly could. The second group of artists was told to make a high volume of art, as much art as they could put out, as many pieces of work they could put out as quickly as possible, right? And at the end of a time window, call it 30 days, they measured the quality of the art of the group who tried to make this perfect masterpiece, Group A, and Group B, the people who tried to put out a high volume of art without worrying about any one of those pieces of art being a masterpiece. And the measurement was who created better art. That was the ultimate question. Who do you think created the better art? Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, Group B. The group of people who focused on quality did not create as good art as those who focused on quantity. What? Right? That's because the only way you know how to create quality work is through volume and repetition and creating non-quality work, right? You can't become a master if you've never failed before, if you've never put out a lot of stuff that didn't work. So the number one thing that I see people get wrong when it comes to their social media presence, especially for law firms that have more time than they have money, is you're just not doing enough volume, right? I remember this one interview that I saw from Alex Hormozy, he was talking, he had like a private coaching session with Grant Cardone, and he asked, when he had this private session with Grant asked Alex to open his Instagram, and the only thing that he looked at was how many Instagram posts Alex was doing per day, I believe, or per week. And Grant had like 10 times the output, right? And Grant's videos were not getting perfect views. Some of them had less views than Alex's videos. But the one thing that Grant told Alex is you need to focus on 10x the output, right? And Alex listened to that information, took it very seriously. And from that point in time, he went from like, I don't know, something like 700,000 followers across all of his online platforms to 15 million plus followers on his online platforms. And that was really one of the main variables that changed for him, was really just a higher volume of output. So we have to put out a lot of stuff to know what doesn't work. Now, the beautiful thing is when you have a organic piece of your law firm's marketing arsenal, you're putting out a lot of YouTube videos, longs and shorts. Maybe you start a podcast like this. Like, podcasts can work really well. It just depends on your natural style as a person. Like, if you're cool with rambling with very limited topics like I am, like I can just basically, I can sit in front of a camera and just talk for an hour or 2 hours straight because that's just how I'm wired, right? So if that's not you and you're more introverted and you don't like having an open format, you probably shouldn't do a podcast. So start thinking of other ways that you can put out content through, shorter, long form, and even short form video as a dominant output piece for you. But the bottom line is going to be the bottom line is going to be the bottom line. Frequency of output is the number one differentiator. Frequency of output is the holy grail. How much content you put out is really the only thing that matters in the beginning, right? And until you get the 200 live videos on your YouTube channel, you have not put out enough stuff. So if you have a thought of, misconceptions around DUI laws in X state, right? Just film the video. You're already an expert in that if you're a DUI lawyer. Like, if you have an idea about how insurance companies rip you off after a car accident case in X state, okay? You're an expert in that. Just start rambling. Pull out your phone. That's video one, okay? And then here's the hardest thing to do when you follow the high volume approach, okay? You just got to post it the second you film the video, okay? You don't want to edit it. You don't want to overthink it. Just post it. You can start editing stuff once you've gotten to a certain critical mass of volume, right? But volume. As long as you focus on solving the pain points of your clients, right? High volume of output. And through these two things, solving pain points and high volume output, finding your voice, okay? This is another thing. You don't find your voice. I'm taking back what I said. You discover your voice through action, right? The only way you discover your dominant communication style is by communicating a lot. Putting yourself in situations where you have to communicate a lot is the best way to show yourself how you communicate. And through feedback analysis, especially by looking at which videos you put out that performed well and which ones did not perform well, you are able to start kind of feeling out the market and start feeling out like, what is your best communication style? Let's say you had an open format, podcast style episode similar to what I'm doing. And when you did that, you got, 700 views. But when you did a more scripted video that was more prepared, you only got 100 views. You got 7 times the views when you did an open format, right? Well, then listen to the market. Adjust. Let the market tell you what style of communication works best for you and have the courage to adjust based on that, right? The way we discover our voice is through action, right? So the more action you take, faster you discover your voice, more videos you put out, more luck, okay? The more you show up, the more lucky you get. The more you show up, the more likely it is that you're going to have a viral video. The more videos that you make for organic social, the more likely it is that you're going to make your paid social media ads work better. The more likely it is you're going to get better at just being on video in general, so that if you want to put videos on your website or on conversion pages for things that you're using in your marketing, like you're going to already have put in 200 reps. So you're going to be way better at doing things on the fly, marketing your firm, speaking, even public speaking, right? You get better at public speaking. But the big thing is the trust, right? The trust that you are putting out into the marketplace by showing your prospective clients, showing other law firms, and even showing employees in your market who are looking for new jobs, showing them that, hey, you're doing things differently than other firms in your market. You're being transparent. You're teaching the legal industry, I'm saying on my behalf, for me, you're teaching your local market things that no other attorney in their right mind would ever be open about, right? This builds trust. This makes it so that when people research your firm, they have more faith in the quality of your firm. They think that you are more legitimate. And ultimately, they will hire your law firm in higher proportions by you having a robust, long-form video presence for your firm than if you have nothing online. So don't be a nothinger. Don't be a nothinger. Make sure that you are putting out something as consistently as you possibly can to get those reps in, learn what your market wants, build that trust. And I promise you, it's one of the biggest untapped opportunities. And quite frankly, is because there's a barrier to entry for it. You actually have to hop on video to do this stuff. So all the big spenders, they don't need to do this stuff. They can just spend more money on ads. So it's a differentiator. Because the big spenders, they're not willing to put in the effort to do this because they have more money than they have time, right? So they're just going to spend money on this crap. And unfortunately, you could spend $1 million a year on your social media strategy. Still, the best social media strategies as a law firm owner are going to come from the horse's mouth. It's going to come from you. So there's that effort barrier to entry. And that's what makes this such a big opportunity for the legal industry. It's probably the number one trust builder. It's probably the number two trust builder. I take that back. Number one is probably your Google reviews. And number two, a close second, is your video presence. I mean, because it's just how consumers look to validate you and to make sure that you are legitimate. It's the digital handshake, right? It's the way for you to speak through the screen, shake someone's hand, tell them a little bit about yourself, but also to educate them and to empower them and to help solve their problems so that when they enter a phone call with you, they're already pre-sold. And that's one of the other beautiful side effects of this. Like, Lance, the person I was telling you about, his sales calls are basically order fulfillment now. They're, hey, I've been following you on YouTube. How can I pay you the money to solve my case? Please take me as a client, right? What if all of your calls from the cold internet came in like that? People begging you to take them on as a client. Wouldn't that be exciting? Well, the first step for you getting to that is to start that 100 videos in 100 days. Now, we have actually created something that's called the Video Ads Express Bootcamp, which helps our clients with this. But if you don't want to, spend a penny on this, okay, just do it yourself. Just pull out your phone, just freaking do it, and do 100 videos in 100 days. Dial it in as you go. Don't worry about perfection. Just worry about posting. All right, I'll see you in the next one. YouTube is still a huge opportunity, and I really, really, really hope that you pounce on it and let me know the benefits and the experience that you have once you start getting some results from this immensely powerful law firm marketing strategy. All right, I'll see you in the next one. If you found value in this podcast, here's one way I can help your firm right now. What if you could take all of our knowledge and experience helping law firms grow and use it to create a custom growth plan for your firm? I want to give you something special. I want to give you a free law firm 360-degree analysis. We usually charge $499 for this call, but you'll get it for free since you're committed to growth. Our team will walk you through the 4 steps of the law firm growth acceleration model and give you opportunities and fixes to grow your firm faster based on what we've learned across hundreds and hundreds of the fastest growing law firms in North America. Go to smbteam.com/360 to get your free analysis today.